Hello everyone, welcome to another video with Rahul Trussell. In this video, we are going to look at what AWS EC2 is. We'll do a quick overview of the features and then do a demo and run the EC2 as a web server. Okay, now EC2 or the short form of Elastic Compute Cloud. So what AWS says is EC2 is a web service that provides secure, resizable compute capacity in the cloud. Okay, so what does that mean? So if you look at the traditional server which you had on the on-premise data center, you had a physical machine which would have the CPU, memory, disk, and a network interface card. And then you would have some kind of an operating system, maybe Windows or Linux, and then you would have a application running on it, and you'll have a single operating system. Now what the cloud does is you have the same physical machine, but on that physical machine you have a hypervisor. So what this hypervisor allows you is to virtualize this hardware. So what you can do is with this hypervisor layer, you could have multiple virtual machine. So each virtual machine again would have the same thing: CPU, memory, disk, and a network interface card. And then on top of that, you will have an OS, and then you have an application. Then depending on the size of the physical machine, you could have multiple OS running on it, and then various applications running on each of the virtual machines. So the benefit of this is earlier you could have a physical machine that would run at say 30% CPU utilization, right? So it was a waste of effort. But with the virtual machine on cloud, it allows you to optimally utilize the physical server through these multiple virtual machines. Okay, so what kind of use cases are good for EC2? So you could have any kind of cloud native and enterprise applications, which essentially means that you could use it for a web server, app server, any enterprise application, ERPs, etc. Basically anything you can run on a physical server on your on-premise data center, there's a very high probability that you will be able to run it on the EC2. So it also allows you to run the HPC applications and also machine learning applications. So basically you can run anything on an EC2. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the console, and then we'll look at each of the features, and accordingly then I'll explain what that feature means. Let me go to the console. So I'm now on the EC2 console. So this is if you want to go to EC2, so you just search for EC2 here, and then you click on this, you come to the EC2 console. Okay. Now if you want to run a new EC2, you just click on the launch instance. So you'll be on the launch page. So the first thing you do is choose an Amazon machine image. Okay. So what does an Amazon machine image mean? So it's basically a pre-configured template that packages the OS and additional software for your server. So you could use say so you need an OS, Amazon Linux OS. So then you can choose that. Or you are looking for Mac OS. You're looking for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. You're looking at Microsoft Windows OS. So any kind of software, so OS software that you need and any additional software that you need will be pre-installed in this AMI. So you could either have the ones which are provided by AWS, you could also create your own AMIs. I don't have anything right now. You could go to AWS Marketplace and then purchase various AMIs from there. Okay, so in this case, let me choose quickly one Amazon Linux AMI. So I select. So next, it will redirect me to this choose an instance type. So the choose an instance types will have three things. It will have a family, and it will have a type. So these two you have to choose. Okay, let's look at what that means. So in the family, you saw that there's a T2, there's a T3. You can see C4, C5. You can see so there are multiple different types of instant families. So what does that mean? So you saw the T. T means tiny. So it's a very small uh, virtual machine. That's what it's called, tiny. And what when I say it is tiny, you can see that for the T2 you have just one CPU, 0.5 memory, or like at max one CPU and maybe 2 GB memory. Then comes the M series. So what is M series? M series is basically medium, and it is slightly larger than the T series. Okay, I can't see the M anywhere here. M series. Okay, anyways. So the third one is compute C series, which is the compute optimized. So anything, if you need high compute performance, it will have a high vCPU to memory ratio. So you can see here you have multiple options for C4, C5. All of these are compute family. Then you have R. R is memory optimized, so it will have a higher RAM compared to the CPU. So you can search for R5. Okay, so you can see the R5. Right, you can also see the M5. You can see the M4 and M5 here, which we were talking about earlier. Okay. So once you have selected the family, then you need to select the instance type. So what instance type means, for each family, you will have an instance type, which basically tells you what is the size of that particular EC2. So you see here, you have C4, right? And it has 2 vCPU and 3.7 memory. Now, if you take C4X, that means it's twice of that. So it just kind of doubles the capacity. Then you have 2X, so it again doubles again. So that's what the type of EC2 means. Then one last thing I want to show is, you see here you have the C4, and then you have the C5. So you have C4, you have C5. So what this means is the generation. So AWS continuously updates the generation of the various instances. So you can have C4, C5. That's what it is trying to show. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Now we have to select the number of EC2 instances that you need. So I'll just put one for now. Then you need to do some configure some networking. So in my last video, I had shown you how to create a VPC. So we'll use the same VPC. So that was a demo VPC. I select that. Now this will be published. This is a web server, will be publicly accessible. So I put it in the public subnet, which means it has a route to internet. So I need to enable the public IP. Okay. So host name, it's just a naming convention. Don't need to worry about that. So then there is a concept of placement group. So if I do an add placement group, it will show me. You can see here it showed me 3 kind of placement groups. So what placement groups means is, I will just quickly walk you through. So I have I have a quick slide here. So you can see there are 3 types of placement groups. You have the partition, you have the cluster placement, and then you have the spread placement. So what does a cluster placement group mean? Cluster means that in scenarios where you need multiple instances, but they need to be able to interact within each other through a high network throughput and low latency. So like HPC, high performance computing workloads. So in this scenario, what you do is, you will have all those, say you have 7 instances. You will have all those 7 instances on the same physical server, or at the max on the same rack. Okay. So the next one is partition placement group. So what partition placement group does is, it is in scenario like HDFS, HBase, what you need is, you need multiple instances. Say those will be on the same rack, and then for one partition, and then say you have 3 partitions, and then another partition with say 7 instances would be on another rack. So all the instances most probably will be on the same rack, but different partitions will be on different racks. And then finally you have the spread placement, where you have instances running across availability zones, or across in the single availability zone, across availability zones. So this is to reduce the chances of failure. Okay. So I'll not select any placement group here. Domain directory, I don't need a. So what we'll do is we'll just create a IAM role. Basically, we are going to access this instance through a SSM. Uh, because it's much easier compared to running it through putty or some other things. You can just create an IAM role with for SSM access, and you'll be able to access the instance through the browser. So let me quickly create a role. So this is for EC2 instance, and what I'll do is search here is I'll search for the SSM. Role for SSM. Get to review EC2 SSM and 0203 create role. Okay, I have created a role. Let me quickly just do a refresh here. EC2 SSM for, okay, here is the role EC2 SSM 0203 that we created. Okay, and everything looks okay. Next we add storage. So storage, basically you have an EBS volume. So I will just select, we'll keep it default as 8 GB. Next I add tags, I'll just leave it as it is. Next is configure security group. So configure security is what kind of traffic you want to allow. So we want to do a SSH into the instance. So we'll have the SSH type and protocol as TCP port 22, and I will just leave it open to everyone. Anybody on the world can access this, and then we'll just allow all traffic and from anywhere, because it's going to be a web server. So review and launch. Okay, it's giving me a warning. I don't need the key pair. I acknowledge I have this. So launch an instance. So I have launched an EC2 instance. Okay, so it's in the pending state. So I'll pause the video till it shows up. Okay, I waited a few minutes and now I have the EC2 instance here. You can see the status checks. Okay, now let me go to this instance and let me do an SSH into this. I do a connect. Then I go to session manager. You can see now this connect button is here. So you don't need, because we created the SSM role, you don't need putty and all. You can just directly connect through the SSM session manager. So I do a connect. Okay, let me do a refresh. Okay, I'm into the instance now. So let me just run a few commands. Let me run the Apache web server so that it can run as a web server. So let me just do a yum update, updates all the packages. Okay, now I'm going to install the Apache server. Going to start the HTTP service, and if we do an echo with this home page. Okay, now let me go to the browser and try and see if we are able to access this web page. HTTP. Okay, I've tried the browser. Okay, you can see the message that we had in our browser, and hello real world Rahul. So you can see that. Thank you. Please share and like if you like the video. Thank you very much.